Hi everybody, Susie here with Phillips Handcart Company, and this is the video where I walk you through your trek budget and show you how much it's going to cost and ways you can save thousands of dollars. And to do this, I'll give you a side-by-side comparison, a budget for a local trek and a budget for a Martin's Cove trek, since that's a popular trekking destination. But first, let me just start by saying that the church guidelines are clear in that in no case should the expenses or travel for an activity be excessive. Also, long-distance travel for activities is discouraged. And while I'm talking about Martin's Cove and other church ranches, you need to know that you don't have any flexibility with the activities that you may want to do along the trail. And that's because your group has to follow the trek plan laid out by the missionaries there. So it may not be exactly the trek that you envision. It will be a good trek, but again, you have no flexibility when you're trekking there, and you have no input in what takes place. The missionaries head up your trek, they map it out, they determine what will happen, and they even trek with you. So if you have specific experiences that you want to incorporate or a plan that you want to follow, don't plan a church ranch or a Martin's Cove trek, okay? Their treks are great, but you'll have no flexibility, all right? Okay. Now, this budget is based on 220 trek participants. That includes all youth, leaders, and support. It's everyone who will go to the trek site, regardless of how many days they'll be there. Now, I have to do it this way because that's the way Martin's Cove charges their fee. So I'll show you how much a Martin's Cove trek will cost, and I'll also show you how much a local trek will cost, okay? Okay, first, let's calculate transportation cost. Now, for a Martin's Cove trek, there will be a bus cost. And really, if you're going to Martin's Cove, there's no way around it. Transportation cost will be a lot, and you'll need to charter or rent buses. The bus capacity is 44 passengers, so to transport 220 people, you'll need 5 buses. Rental for each bus is going to be around $10,000, for a total of $50,000 for 5 buses. Now, for local treks, and remember, in video 2, I discuss local trek trails, and I give you some maps, and I show you how you can trek just about anywhere for free. So if you missed that video, go back and watch video 2 in this series. Anyway, the fuel cost for 220 participants will be about 36 cars, and we'll calculate about a 100-mile distance or 200 miles round trip, and that cost will be about $1,800. So you can see this is a big price difference. And that brings me to something very important. I know there may be a few of you who may think that the best trekking experience can only occur if you trek at Martin's Cove. And to those who think that way, let me just challenge you to try and convince the thousands of trekkers all over the world who can't go there because Martin's Cove is too far and it's just too expensive to go there. Just try to tell them that their trek was substandard, and I promise you that with tearful eyes, they'll respond with a resounding, heartfelt, not so. You know, a successful trek all boils down to just one thing, and it's not the location that invites the spirit that makes a trek successful. It's prayer, planning, preparation, and following inspiration. You can trek just about anywhere on this planet and have exactly the kind of experience your kids need to have, all while protecting and preserving those sacred funds that belong to the Lord. Now, I absolutely know this is true because I have worked with and talked with many groups who trek in places all over the world, places like Africa, China, Australia, Norway, and Russia. Obviously, they can't go to Martin's Cove, but without question, they have treks that touch hearts, change lives, and strengthen testimonies. The veil is just as thin for them as it is for those who trek along the Mormon Trail. Do they feel the presence of handcart pioneers as they trek in Africa, China, or other faraway lands? You better believe it. And that's because no matter where you trek, when you trek, you're standing in a holy place. And you know, this is such an important topic that I could do an entire fireside on this one thing alone. Anyway, the point is, the church guidelines instruct us to trek locally. So plan now to be obedient to these guidelines, and your trek will absolutely be blessed. Now, Next on the budget, we'll talk about trail fees. Martin's Cove charges $15 per person. That includes everybody from your group who will be at Martin's Cove, regardless if they're trekking or regardless of how many days that they'll be there. And this fee covers the cost of hand carts, potties, and water. So, for 220 participants, that's $3,300. Now, for local trails, there are no fees, but you will need to rent carts and potties. So, let me break that down for you. Phillips Handcart Company delivers carts to your trek site for $800 for a load of 10 carts. So 220 trekkers, you'll need 20 carts. So that's $1,600. If you want to pick the carts up yourself, then the cost is only $600 per load. But I'll assume that you want them delivered in this case. Potties will vary based on where you get them from. The quote I'm working with is $1.75 per person per day, which works out to $1,155. So right there, potties and hand carts are cheaper by about $550 when trekking locally as compared to trekking at Martin's Cove. Now, here's the thing about food. If you want to save money, don't have it catered. And I know some groups actually do have their trek catered. But catering really robs the youth of some important blessings. If you really want to give your trekkers the best experience possible, allow them to cook meals within their trek families. And that's because cooking together as families keeps the kids busy. It teaches them important family skills. And really, it fosters a strong bond between the trek family, a bond that they will always remember and cherish. Plus, trek cooking is fun. It really is. And to help you with that, we have put together some great trek food training videos and some simple pioneer recipes and menus. And all of that is within our website. So please take some time and check those videos out, okay? They will really help you a lot. Now, remember, the idea of trek is to foster a sense of, I did that, among trekkers. If things like cooking is done for them, you could be robbing them of an important growth experience that they'll need to draw upon throughout the rest of their life, okay? So, on we go. Your medical team will need a budget of about $200 for supplies like moleskin for blisters. You'll need to budget incidental costs for possible damage to handcart wheels. Now, this is a cost that you may not even use, but you need to budget it in just in case. You'll need to budget for photocopies for journals and stuff like that. So budget about $300 there. The activities team will need a budget to cover supplies for their workshop and games. If you're doing workshops like these, you'll need about $270. Your photographer, videographer will need about $300 to produce DVDs for the kids after trek. So totaling these costs out, for a local trek, your trek budget will be less than $9,000. A Martin's Cove trek budget will exceed $57,000. And that about wraps up this 5th video on how to plan and carry out an awesome stress-free trek. To ensure you get the rest of these free videos, be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/handcarttrek. And for a free planning kit, visit us at handcart-trek.org. Okay, so in the next video, I'll show you how to really get your group excited about trek through publicity that really works. So I'll see you in the next video.